While man was still learning to cope with changing climate, protecting himself from dangers, and living a minimalistic lifestyle in many other parts of the world, Bharat had scientific and spiritual minds exploring profound topics. Science is integrated effortlessly into our daily lives in many ways. There was no false barrier between science and religion. Even rituals required for one to know geometry, astronomy, trigonometry, and more. The sages of ancient India were subjective scientists. They believed in interdisciplinary approach to solve real-world problems, so they were well qualified in more than one field. In the quietness of their minds, they were able to see beyond what meets the eye. Let's take a glimpse at their contributions to the world. Rishi Charaka was the main contributor towards Ayurveda, and he comprehensively explained the procedure involved in preparation of medicine. In the Charaka Samhita, he detailed the human anatomy and comprehensively wrote on all stages from diagnosis to treatment. He was the first to precisely describe enzymes required for digestion and metabolism and identified 20 types of disease-causing germs and their shapes, sizes, and colors. All this in the first century of Common Era when microscopes were unheard of. Can you imagine plastic surgery being performed more than 1,000 years ago? Rishi Sushruta is credited as the first surgeon of the world. In the Sushruta Samhita, he has detailed 12 types of fractures, dislocations, ophthalmology, which is removal of cataract in the eye, precautions for surgery. He invented the procedure for reconstruction of nose called rhinoplasty. He is the inventor of over 100 surgical equipments with specific functions and explained the method of sterilization. Do you know who discovered the atom? It was again an Indian sage, Acharya Kanad, around 2600 years ago, who claimed that Anu or Parmanu is the smallest particle which is further indivisible. He wrote aphorisms on atomic theory describing dimension, motion, and chemical reaction of atoms. He also popularized the Vaisheshika school of philosophy and authored Vaisheshika Sutras. Agastya Muni coded the process of generating electric supply in his Agastya Samhita. He also described how water can be split into hydrogen and oxygen molecules. His Shishya Bhogar was an alchemist. Through the amalgamation of 9 poisonous herbs, Navapashanam, using a unique procedure, he made the Murti of Lord Muruga in Palani. When Abhisheka is done, the substance that comes in contact with the Murti is said to gain medicinal properties. Bhaskaracharya was the head of Cosmic Observatory at Ujjain, the main mathematical center of ancient India. His main work, Siddhanta Shiromani, deals with arithmetic, algebra, mathematics of the planets and spheres. He discovered the principles of differential calculus and its application to astronomical problems and computations. When his daughter Leelavati was depressed after losing her husband immediately after marriage, he cheered her up by posing mathematical challenges. This conversation between father-daughter duo is recorded as mathematical treatise called Leelavati. Rishi Varaha Mihira was multifaceted, a great mathematician, geologist, and astrologer. He wrote the treatise called Brihat Samhita. He wrote over 60 couplets about comets, though facilities like telescope or other electronic equipments were not available. He explained the estimated diameters of the planets like Mercury, Venus, Mars, Saturn, and Jupiter. He was the first one to predict the presence of water and iron in Mars, which have now been revealed by NASA and ISRO. He worked upon the algebraic properties of zero as well as of negative numbers and many more versions of advanced maths. He was one of the first researchers who experimented and claimed that a force might be keeping bodies stuck to the round earth. Today we call it gravity. By observing the movements of termite, he could predict the availability of groundwater. Such a scientific mind was also the greatest astrologer of his times. We recorded historic records with factual details blended into interesting poetry. We recorded the movements of stars and other astronomical observations happening so far away. We penned the scientific treatises and fitted them into specific meters. Yet, focus didn't stray away from the rich spiritual knowledge, the path to discover God. Spirituality was the backbone. Saga after saga, brilliant rishis and rishikas arose to inspire bhakti in us towards God. There were 3 primary exponents of Vedanta: Sri Shankaracharya, Sri Ramanujacharya, and Sri Madhavacharya. Sri Adi Shankaracharya propounded Advaita Vedanta. God is non-dual. There is nothing but God. Every object and being is a manifestation of God in different names and forms. Goal is to realize this and wake up to this reality. Sri Ramanujacharya propounded Vishishta Advaita. Every object and being is a part of God, like how the hands and feet are part of the body. By serving God and surrendering to Him, the individual can become one with the God. This is the base of Sri Vaishnavism. Sri Madhavacharya propounded Dvaita. God is different from the beings and objects. Through devotion and meditation towards God, one can reach God. Sanatana Dharma is accommodative of different philosophical stances to lead towards one ultimate goal, God. These great masters rose up at different points in time and offered their schools of thought according to the demand of the society at that point in time. They succeeded in instilling hope and love for God in the society during their times and beyond. In the south, Alvars, who were Vishnu Bhaktas, and Nayanmars, who were Shiva Bhaktas, inspired bhakti during the early centuries. Academicians propose multiple time periods for their existence, but their actions and philosophies have lived beyond their times and inspired many in the path of bhakti. They belong to different strata of the society, hailing from varied social backgrounds, yet their love for God motivated them to go the extra mile. The hymns composed and sung by the Alvars are collectively called the Divya Prabandham. The Nayanmars composed the Tevaram, Tiruvasagam and Tirumurai. The variety of bhakti literature in Tamil stimulated bhakti movement in the south, laying the path for many more saints to rise. Our heartfelt namaskarams to all the sages of Bharat from the past till now who have shown us the path to lead a spiritual and divine life within and without.